Welcome to the Why Factor, a chance to work out why we do what we do. BBC World Service podcasts are supported by advertising.
Thank you for downloading from the BBC. For details of our complete range of podcasts and our terms of use, go to bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.
BBC World Service. I'm Mike Williams with the Why Factor.
Son of a gun. I had you there.
You had me, but you didn't win.
At a park in central London, Yuri and Patrick are hunched over a chessboard.
I've had 3 games. 2 of them I could have won, should have won, really.
I don't know how he wriggled out of that one. I think it was that knight to f8.
Actually, he should take with the rook he should take it. He didn't, he took with the queen. What is it for?
32 strange characters, kings and queens and bishops and more on 64 squares of black and white. But chess seems so much more than a board game. It's taught in schools. It's become a metaphor for war, for intellectual complexity, for guile and genius too. Why does the game endure?
That queen goes on c2. I have to stop him. And that's the only way to stop him to be aggressive against this pawn.
Most chess historians agree that chess was invented in India no later than the 6th century.
This is the historian Marilyn Alom.
And the original name in Sanskrit was Chaturanga, which meant the 4 members of the Indian army. Chess reflected the hierarchy within the army, and to this, the chariots, the elephants, the cavalry, and the infantry, they added the king and his general. And then when it came to Europe, it was brought to Spain in the 7th, 8th century, so that we have queen, king, bishop. Bishop comes to replace the elephant, knight, and castle. So it really does reflect European society.
14 centuries after chess reached Europe, not much had changed, and this intriguing game was still reflecting the societies in which it had settled.
Stalin liked chess. Lenin himself was a chess player. Trotsky was a decent chess player.
The writer David Edmonds, author of Bobby Fischer Goes to War.
It was all very well beating the West at the shot put. That's a physical game, but to beat them at this entirely intellectual game, well, that was really won over on the capitalist system. So that was why it was so important that they could prove their intellectual superiority over the West. Chess had an extraordinarily high status in the Soviet Union. There were chess schools, chess players were encouraged across the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union had dominated the world of chess since World War II. In 1972, for the first time, there's a threat to Soviet dominance. And you have this lone American, Bobby Fischer, taking on the might of the Soviet chess machine.
Where it's at, it's the apex, my whole life. My whole career has been building up to this one point. This is really the big match. Even this little thing with me and Spassky is sort of a microcosm of the whole world political situation.
Game 1 is very dramatic. Fischer makes the most extraordinary blunder. He takes a pawn of his bishop, a complete Patzer's move, and his bishop is trapped. He loses that game. Game 2 he forfeits because he doesn't turn up, because he's complaining about the noise from the cameras, and everybody thinks it's all over. And then he plays a series of brilliant games and reaches the 12.5 points he needs to become the chess champion of the world. And of course, for Boris Spassky, there were serious repercussions when he got home. There were questions to be asked. There were questions about whether he'd prepared seriously enough. And it was a terrible blow for the Soviet chess machine. They were soon back on track when Bobby Fischer refused to fight to retain his title, and right until the end of the Cold War, the Soviets once again recaptured the world chess crown and held it all the way through to the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Years later, that Russian desire to dominate the game lives on, in the Kremlin and in the Republic of Kalmykia on the Caspian Sea. The first president of Kalmykia is Kesan Ilumzhinov, a controversial figure. Since 1995, he's been head of the International Chess Federation, and while president, he imposed his obsession with the game on the whole republic.
In 1998, we built the world's first chess city. We built a first-of-its-kind chess palace and a chess academy where Boris Spassky and other great chess players gave masterclasses. 100% of pupils in schools started playing chess. Their performance in other subjects has improved. They've managed to study at prestigious universities.
My name is Diana Davletova. I'm coming from Kalmykia, from Gorodovikovsk. It's a small town, about 9,000 people. Now I'm studying in Germany in University of Trier. I am 26 years old. I was 5 years old when the President Ilumzhinov came to power in Kalmykia. And next year I went to school. At first, when the program was just implemented in schools, there were many talks about do we need it or not? School thought that it would take many additional resources to teach children, to provide classes, to provide time of teachers. I remember many talks with my parents about how good became my grades, that they are happy, that I'm going to these chess classes. And sometimes, instead of going to chess classes, I could go somewhere else. And I could then say, oh, I was in chess classes, that's why I'm being late. But my parents were absolutely satisfied with it because they were very happy that I'm attending them.
The main thing is that chess enriched our nation spiritually and allowed the world to discover us, and at the same time opened a new world for Kalmykia.
On the first class, our teacher told us that before starting chess playing, you have to put your arms on the chair and you have to sit on them. And before you make any move in chess, you have to think twice or maybe more times before you make an action.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to push the pawn, take my, but I won't let him.
If I push the pawn there, give it a disguise a check, then I can
and pick up this bishop.
Yeah.
The rules for the game changed around 1497.
Marilyn Alom on the rise of the Queen.
Instead of moving one space diagonally at a time, she now has the power to go across the board diagonally or vertically. She is called a mad queen in Italy. She's sometimes called La Dame Enragée in French. And there can be some very, very nasty, misogynistic interpretations of this new game with this new queen who's running all over the board. This queen who seems to defy all of the conventions about what it is to be feminine.
He wants me to exchange, so he can take with the pawn and attack the queen at the same time.
My king is getting out of
Now he's out of dodge. He's got out of dodge.
One of the French poets, Gratien Dupont, uses the chessboard as a means of expressing all sorts of nasty comments about women. When the game became Queen's chess or new chess, we start to have professional chess players who go to the various courts and reap large rewards for chess playing. And this is the sort of thing that women didn't do. You don't appear in public playing against an adversary. So it's a strange irony that from the late 15th century onward, with the elevation of queenship and the chess queen, that instead of having a renaissance for women players, you have a decline of women players.
There is a huge gap between the women world champion and the best player in the world in chess.
Judith Polgar is the best female player the world has ever seen. She retired from competitive chess just this summer. The Hungarian became the world's #1 ranked female player when she was just 12 years old, and she held that title for a quarter of a century.
And I think it happens with most of the lady competitors that they put their goals in a much lower level objectively in chess to let's say 2,600 in rating points, where the top Grandmaster world champion right now is around 2,900. So there's a huge gap between the women world champion and the best player in the world in chess. And I think it's extremely important in order to reach the higher you can to put your goals at the highest level. I started when I was 5 years old. By my teenager years, it was very clear to me that I'd become a professional player. By that time, I was training 8-9 hours a day. People think that it's a very soft and very quiet sport, chess, it is true that as it's forbidden to talk during the game, but it can be very emotional. It can last 3, 4, 5 hours, one game during 2 weeks of time. And actually, it even happens that time to time, during one game, a very tense game, can make people lose 1 or 2, 3 kilograms during that game.
Would have been a good one. Yeah, I was hoping the bishop takes bishop and I can check him and win the queen.
He's a crafty. I told you he
Occasionally I
crafty,
have my moments.
If I make a move, I get a reaction from my opponent straight away.
The British Grandmaster Daniel King.
I can read how they're feeling about the position. Even if they have, a poker face, they always give something away.
White generally should take the. See, he doesn't want it. He just goes back, sits back, he waits. That's his.
Waiting his mistake.
Exactly. Now he takes me, but I don't mind because I've opened up the rook file against so it might be a bit more fluid.
You can smell it somehow. You can just read how they're feeling about the position, and that can give you confidence.
Oh! Serves you right. No, careful.
I resign.
Chess is not like most forms of competition. It's mental, not physical. So I'm a very competitive bloke. I play a lot of tennis. And when I lose at tennis, it really annoys me. But I recover. I recover quite quickly. Not so with chess. If I lose at chess, that is a mortal blow. I've lost to another opponent and I've been proved to be intellectually inferior. And that hurts.
And what if you're beaten not by a human, but by a machine, a computer?
Well, I'm sad to admit that I'm beaten by computers regularly. My iPhone can just destroy me.
I was challenged to a game by John McCarthy, who's really the founding father of AI. He's the person who coined the phrase artificial intelligence, and he was a professor at Stanford University, and I managed to beat him.
David Levy is an international chess master, and he's president of the International Computer Games Association, which organises competitions between chess programmes.
And after the game, he said to me, "Well, David, you might be able to beat me, but within 10 years there'll be a computer programme that can beat you." I said, "Look, I'm Scottish chess champion. The best programmes are way, way below where I am, and I just can't see it happening in 10 years. And I'd always been a bit of a betting man. So I said to him, "Well, John, would you like to make a bet? I'll bet you £500 that you're wrong." Now, this was in August 1968, when I was earning the princely sum of £895 a year. So I was betting him more than half my year's salary.
Dr. Levy really does like a bet.
The bet grew over the next few years. It ended up a total of £1,250.
And over the years, he's made many wagers favouring man over machine.
I got together with Omni magazine and we put up a prize of $5,000, of which $1,000 was mine and $4,000 was theirs. And the prize was going to be awarded to the first programme to win a match against me, no matter how long it took them to do it.
And it all went very well for David Levy, at least for 21 years.
And eventually I lost in 1989 to Deep Thought, which was a forerunner of the Deep Blue programme. It killed me. It absolutely murdered me.
Of the two contestants, only Kasparov could feel the tension and nerves that went with the occasion. It wasn't looking good for the world champion in a match that many expected him to win.
Playing against a computer, you get nothing back. That's why Garry Kasparov, of all the top human players, found it incredibly difficult to play against a computer, and he lost this famous match in New York in 1997 against Deep Blue.
It was the final game of 6, and his opponent, one of the most powerful supercomputers in the world, seemed to have the upper hand.
Kasparov had this extraordinary willpower and this energy, and when his opponents could feel that, then Kasparov gained strength from it. He got nothing back from a computer, and in the end, it drove him nuts, and he lost the match.
If he lost, it would be a landmark in both the worlds of chess and of science, and that's exactly how it turned out. The game was over in just an hour.
Four has resigned.
There was one zeal to beat Garry Kasparov. And when a big corporation with unlimited resources would like to do so, there are many ways to achieve the result.
The game of chess, supposedly a true test of human intellect, will never be the same again.
The game has become digital. Top professionals actually get supercomputers to play against each other to find the best variations possible. So the game has changed completely over the last 20 years.
For the better?
I don't think you can actually make a judgment whether it's better or worse. It is developing, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle. But every age in chess says, well, the game can't go any further. It can't get any better. It's just played out to a draw. In fact, every subsequent age proves that actually the game can develop. And what computers have shown us is that there are so many more different ways of playing chess than previously imagined.
Well, it's fantastically complicated. There are more permutations in chess than there are atoms in the universe. You would have thought that they might have run out of games by now, but games continue to be played. Every single game is new.
Chess is limitless. You never play the same game twice. So you can solve one particular problem, but there'll always be another problem. It's like diving into this ocean that just goes on and on. New fields, new territories are being discovered the whole time. It's as though you're looking into space and discovering new solar systems, new universes. It just goes on forever.
There are dozens of different podcasts now available from the BBC, including news, documentaries, science, business, arts and sport. For details of them all, go to bbcworldservice.com/podcasts.